What's going on? Welcome to another live edition of Real Fans Real Talk. We are back. We got some sports news to get into this week, man. We got some things going on right now. Shout out to the ladies. The WNBA playoffs have officially begun, so we're going to definitely talk about the ladies today. A couple of award winners were announced: Rookie of the Year and the MVP award. So we'll get into that a little bit later on. Oh man, a big KO in the heavyweight division. Somebody got wobbled. We're gonna talk about that a little bit later on in the program as well. And of course, everyone's favorite NFL action has been going down. We are right in the midst of a double Monday night football doubleheader tonight. So we ain't gonna stay on too much long after overtime because we gotta get these parlays together. But we're gonna get to all that in just a minute. Let me introduce my co-host, my brother, Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games. What's going on, man?
What's really good, bro? Yeah, we got a lot, man. Major League Baseball playoffs. Don't forget that's starting very soon as well. We're into the last week of the season. Um, Heavyweight championship. He got more than wobble trip, but that's putting it, nicely. But let's get to it, man. I know, we got a lot to get to. We got questions already on the board, and we got a doubleheader for Monday Night Football. So let's get to it.
Facts. Oh, and a little bit later on in the program, we're gonna take a little midway break because we're gonna drop a big shout out to Cortez and much love to his son Nesto G's. They just dropped something new. He sent it over to me. I told him I was gonna drop it on this week's episode. So we're gonna play that for y'all a little bit later on in the program. But let's jump into this NFL. I see the questions already come. You know what? We gotta start with the almost goat. Maybe he's getting there. He's on that path. We got to start with that. Shout out to Ron Charles. Ron says, "How has Mahomes looked through 3 games?" I'm gonna say Mahomes looks like a quarterback who has his team at 3-0 with a bunch of new wide receivers for the third straight year in a row. Uh, Minus Pacheco, who is out for the season, and with tight end and Travis Kelsey, who hasn't really, you know, done much this season. I don't know if the Swifties, got him tired and whatnot now or not. But listen, Patrick Mahomes, like I said, his team is 3-0, tied for the best record in the NFL. I think like three other teams are 3-0 right now. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about Patrick Mahomes. Now, he's not jumping out the gym right now. If you just worried about the stats, but he's doing what he's supposed to do. That's win football games. All the individual accolades, they gonna come. Once he starts getting the steady weapons on the offensive side of the football. But the most important thing is they're 3-0 right now in the season.
Yeah, I mean, to me, Mahomes, in terms of performance, has been average, but that's nothing new. He started slow last year. He started slow the year before that. And as you mentioned, Travis Kelsey has pretty much been a non-factor. So they've had to kind of navigate that. No Pacheco this past week. We haven't seen Hollywood Brown with the offense yet. Xavier Worthy's a rookie. He's only 3 games into his rookie season. So I would say average because the numbers haven't been gaudy. The passing numbers, the touchdowns haven't been gaudy. There haven't been a spectacular throws and plays from Mahomes. He also has 4 interceptions through 3 games. So that's something that you want to see kind of, come down a little bit. But the most important thing, as you mentioned, is they win. And they find ways to win and they make the adjustments. Again, yesterday with a rookie running back out there, they find a way to win again. Travis Kelsey, a non-factor, but Rashee Rice is turning into a star right before our eyes trip. We see him every week starting to put up big numbers. If you got him in fantasy, Rashee Rice has been producing. So from that standpoint, he's been average, but it doesn't matter because their defense has been so good. And that was one of the reasons why we thought they had a legitimate chance to three-peat was that we knew what Mahomes could do in the crunch time. We needed that defense to continue to grow, and they've shown that.
Hey, listen, if Patrick Mahomes ain't playing like the Herculean super star hero quarterback chasing the GOAT, only person that's even close and already done made Mount Rushmore, and they still up 3-0, y'all got a problem on y'all hands. I'm gonna say that right now. Y'all got a problem. The league is on notice right now. If they're undefeated right now with Kelsey not looking like Travis Kelsey, Pacheco now done for the year, trying to work 3 new wide receivers into the mix, and they're still 3-0. The rest of the league
Mm-hmm.
has a problem, and y'all better be on notice. And this ain't like they've they're beating slouch teams either. They beat the Ravens in week one. They beat the Chiefs. Excuse me. They beat the Bengals last week, and this week, they got just the Atlanta, but still
Well,
Atlanta's
Atlanta's coming off a good win last week,
yeah, and
over
they've
the
been playing.
Eagles. So yeah,
You know what I mean? But we're talking about some of the better competition in the league. They're not playing, you know, the Panthers. Not this week because this week they look pretty good. But but previously, the last 2 weeks, they're not playing that Panthers team, and we're gonna talk about that a little bit later on as well. Let me go to Ron's next question because I know y'all like us to get through the NFL stuff. How concerned are you about the Texans? I'm not concerned at all. They took a loss this weekend, but I mean, listen, you're not gonna. I didn't think they was gonna run the table. That's first and foremost, and two, they didn't have Joe Mixon playing this game, so the running game, looked a lot different this week. I'm not concerned about the Texans. I think that they'll be just fine.
I'm not too concerned. I expected them to have a little bit of a sluggish start. You got to keep in mind, new running back, new receiver, and Stephon Diggs, and then they were still working in Tank Dell, who missed some time last year. And then you also expect, the level of competition is going to go up. They went from worst to first last year. They shocked a lot of teams. They shocked a lot of people. It's one of the things we talked about on the Friday Night Live trip, where I said now they got to manage expectations now because they got the bullseye. They're not the sneaky underdog anymore. So that's what you see now. The teams are preparing for them differently, and teams are taking on that challenge to slow them down. You saw the Bears do it last week 1 against the Colts, a close game, and then yesterday they lose a game to Minnesota where they just got dominated. So I'm not too concerned yet. I think I'll give it 2 or 3 more weeks to see if they can start to gel. If they're not gelling by week 6, then I'll be a little more concerned.
Yeah, I think they're fine now. Let me see here. Shout out to Kyrie Thompson. He says Jerry Jones says the Cowboys couldn't afford Derrick Henry. I'm glad they couldn't afford Derrick Henry because then I might not have the privilege of the masterpiece that I saw yesterday. That's why I'm back. My guys redeemed themselves a little bit. Derrick Henry, 151 yards, 2 touchdowns, looking like the beast Derrick Henry that we've come to know and love. That I think they're finally starting to get it together. But in regards to the Cowboys, though, I think that you have to keep in mind they knew that Dak's contract was coming up, and that was going to be a hefty contract, which it wound up being. What was it? 62 million a year, Eric. He's making right now. Dak?
On average, about that.
Yeah, about that. So you got to sacrifice, sometimes, and I think for them it was more important for them to have their quarterback because we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. There's not really much of a replacement that you're going to be able to get for Dak right now. So they did what they felt was best, and that was locking in their quarterback for the next couple of years. What's the other running back? Not Zeke. Was it Riddle? I forget his the other running back.
Dottle, right?
Yeah,
Rico
there you go.
Dottle.
Yeah, obviously neither one of these guys is Derrick Henry. But I think the Cowboys have a lot more issues. The running game, I should say, is not what's has the Cowboys record looking like what it is now. It's not the running game. It's the defense that's given up, I want to say 70 something points the past 2 weeks. You
Mm-hmm.
if Justin Tucker makes that field goal, you could add a couple more points on the board. But that defense has been horrible the past 2 weeks. A very bad showing. I mean, I think the Saints broke the record or something like that for points in a half, or tied the record for points in a half with 35. Then you come right
Mm-hmm.
back. The Ravens, put up numbers on you. That defense is your real issue. Um, I mean, this past game was a tough one because the offense just it didn't look like it was really clicking much at all. But again, that defense is where they need the most help. and they got some stars on that defense with Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, a couple of other guys, but that defense has been very suspect this season.
Well, the issue here, Jerry says they couldn't afford Derek Carr. One, they never even made the call to Derek Henry. Sorry, Derek Henry said as much, that they never even contacted him. So they could have at least called him to see what they could have worked out on a contract. That's one. Two, if the Cowboys had handled their business correctly leading up to this offseason, they might have been able to afford him. But they pushed off this Dak negotiation. They pushed off the CD Lamb negotiation like they've done in the past with other negotiations. And then they find themselves in between a rock and a hard place where now you're negotiating heading into the season of the final year of a contract. So that's that issue. Also, and it's a great point because I was going to mention their defense. Their defense is a major, major issue for them. Looking back, going back to that playoff game last year against Green Bay, in 3 of their last 4 games, they have been smoked and run out of the gym, right? And run out of the stadium, I should say. 2 of those games, they gave up 40-plus points. 3 out of those 4 games, they've given up 30 or more points. This is what the real issue is going to be for the Cowboys. It doesn't matter about the star on the side of the helmet. It doesn't matter about the stars on the roster. They are not playing like a caliber team, and they have a lame duck coach who's fighting for his life to hold on right now. They brought in a new defensive coordinator, Mike Zimmer, who has previous head coaching experience. So you know if this starts to get ugly in the next week or two, Mike McCarthy will be fired and Mike Zimmer will be taken over. He'll just move over a spot from defensive coordinator to head coach. But that's the real issue with the Cowboys right now. Their defense has been terrible in 3 of their last 4 games, dating back to the playoff game. And now they find themselves in a situation where the wheels could fall off of the season very, very quickly for them.
Yeah. So
shout out to Will.
They got to get it together. Will Gordon, what it do, baby? Shout out to Tyson. We definitely going to talk about Colorado. Eric and I were texting and calling each other during that game.
And
so we're
I was texting you, and me and Will were texting at the same time watching the game.
Exactly. Let me see. Oh, of this game Sunday, any surprises or standout games for you both? Yeah, and shout out to Ray because it's kind of gonna be like a combo for his question. I'm gonna put that up on the screen next. The biggest surprise was the beating that the Carolina Panthers put on the Raiders yesterday. Did not see that coming at all. I think that is such a bad look for Bryce Young after being benched, that Andy Dalton comes in with the same receivers, the same tight ends, the same running backs, the same offensive line, the same defense, and they looked like dominant, like it was a playoff team. That was not the Carolina Panthers that we saw the 2 previous weeks. And the only thing that was different was Andrew Dalton, obviously. And again, the coaching was the same from last week to this week. The only difference was the QB that was behind center, and that was Andy Dalton. So that one was a surprise for me. The way that the way that they were able to really just dominate in that game. And the other one, which is it wasn't really too much of a surprise to me, but it was a little bit, was the 49ers taking that loss to the Rams, because I still kind of thought the 49ers would be able to get the W, even minus Debo and Kittle. Obviously, we already knew Christian McCaffrey was going to be out in this game, but they did have a lot of injuries. But that, and shout out to Andy Dalton, because what he did for the Carolina Panthers, he had an incredible day. So shout out to all of those guys.
Yeah, the 49ers Rams game, it didn't surprise me because one of their division rivals, and then as you mentioned, we found out about the late scratches. When Will Gordon and I recorded Friday, we knew Puka and Cooper Kupp were going to be out for the Rams. We didn't know that Debo and Kittle were going to be out for the 49ers, though. So that again, division rivals, and when you factor in the injuries, is a close game. I agree with the Panthers just because of how bad they looked their first 2 weeks. But the Raiders aren't that good. And the Ravens, if the Ravens had handled their business last week, we'd be talking about a Raiders team that's 0-3, and we'd be wondering if Antonio Pierce is the right coach for that team. Let's be honest. Mm-hmm. The one that surprised me the most, and I think maybe there's a combination even leading back to week 2. I pride myself on doing research, Trip, but there's a guy we overlooked when we started talking about these teams that could be surprise teams. And that's the Minnesota Vikings, because Brian Flores is their defensive coordinator. Brian Flores is one of the great defensive minds in football, came up under Bill Belichick. And the way he's got that defense looking, last week they held the Niners to 17 points. This week they held the Texans to 7 points. In 2 of their 3 games, they've given up a touchdown or less. Brian Flores has that defense playing really, really good. And the fact that Sam Darnold is playing sound football now, they look like a legitimate threat now because they got the running game showed up. We know about their receivers. And with that defense, and if Sam Darnold's not going to turn the ball over, they're going to be a threat.
Yeah, let me put Will's comment up. He said the Vikings are the WTF team of the early season for me. Dalton threw for 361 and 3 touchdowns in his one appearance for Carolina last season. Bryce Young should be working his way to replace Tua in Miami. Yeah, I mean, he's going to have to do something.
I want to say this about Bryce Young, though. I think the Panthers have completely ruined the situation. They got a young quarterback. They didn't get him weapons. They didn't get him an offensive line. And then they never created stability. Bryce Young hasn't played 20 NFL games yet. He's already on his second head coach and his second offensive system. That's not to say that, he should look as bad as he's looked, but we're giving Andy Dalton a lot of credit for just being a veteran. This is what Andy Dalton is supposed to do as a veteran. He's supposed to be ready, and Andy Dalton has seen far more defenses than Bryce Young has seen. And Andy Dalton beat the Raiders. Again, the Raiders aren't a good team. Bryce Young, they either need to get him stability there in Carolina or he's got to get up out of there because that's going to be a very toxic situation moving forward. That team seems to be stubborn in their ways. Again, they're on, I think this is their 4th different head coach in the last 6 years. There's been too much instability there. There's been too much influx. And ironically, we're talking about Bryce Young there. Look at the last 2 quarterbacks that went Carolina and how they look now that they actually have stability around them. Sam Darnold's winning in Minnesota. Baker Mayfield is winning in Tampa Bay. So it can't just be the players all the time. Sometimes the organization is just toxic and you got to get away from it.
Yeah, the problem is you pretty much y'all took out a 4th and a 5th mortgage on your home to get Bryce Young. So now when this thing is not working out because, and again, obviously, yes, sir, we're talking about one game, for Andy Dalton against the Raiders who aren't who we thought they were. Right, but you gave up everything that you had. You gave up a legit number 1 receiver in DJ Moore, and we see how he's thriving in Chicago the past season and a half. You gave up all of your draft picks to get this guy. You'd already given up Christian McCaffrey, the season before that. So you put yourself in a situation where you guys are going to have to do so much to build this franchise up. That now that you bench Bryce Young, it kind of looks like, well, damn. If I'm a fan, I'm looking at this like, well, we did all of that, and this kid still ain't even an answer. And now you didn't bench the kid just like that. And reality is you haven't really given him anything, And then not to take away from Andy Dalton and what he did, but yeah, they didn't go in and beat the Chiefs. They didn't go in. You know what I mean? And beat the Bills or one of the upper echelon teams. We're talking about a non-playoff team. But yeah, this thing is bad out there. And I hope that, if the Carolina Panthers do wind up trading him, I hope he can go into a situation where he can thrive the way, like you said, the way Sam Darnold is thriving right now in Minnesota with actual weapons to go to. He has a really good running back. He has 2 really good receivers and a third receiver who they drafted who's also looking like he's going to be pretty good as well. Baker's in a situation where he has 2, all-pro caliber wide receivers with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. The running game they've struggled a little bit out the gate this season, but they still have some solid running backs out there. So, I would love to see Bryce Young in a situation where he has something, an O-line to protect him, a wide receiver that he can go to, anything, shoot. I mean, and again, it's only the Browns, but shoot, even Daniel Jones with Malik Neighbors didn't look that bad this past week. So you got to get the kids something. They have nothing in Carolina.
Yeah. Think about everything you just said, though, Trip. All those things are issues within the organization, right? Bryce Young ain't the one who made the trade for himself. No. They traded away all those things to get Bryce Young and then never address the other areas. Again, no running game.
They didn't have
right. they already were there before that, and then instead of them trying to build up the roster, right? The trade they made with the Bears, even at the time, we wondered, did you really have to give up DJ Moore? Like, I don't think you had to give up DJ Moore. You're going to draft a rookie quarterback. Why wouldn't you keep your best receiver?
Hello.
Right. So this is why I say it might just be better for him to get to another situation with more stability, because right now the Panthers don't know what they're doing. The Panthers just don't seem to have any idea of what they're trying to build there. Again, you give up all that, you get Bryce Young in, and then you don't do anything in his first 2 seasons there to at least get the roster around. Look around the league. We talked about Caleb Williams. That's one of the unique situations. There aren't many times that a young quarterback is that much help right out the gate. But we saw what the Chargers did with Justin Herbert early on, where they started getting him weapons, right? We've seen what the CJ Stroud early on. Let's get him some weapons. CJ Stroud's in year 2 as well, just like Bryce Young. What the Texans did, they went and got Stephon Diggs, went out and got Joe Mixon. We saw what the Bills did with Joe.
Incredible last season. They still went and got one.
Right. We saw when the Bills, Josh Allen, young, inaccurate quarterback, go get him a receiver, right? You got to go get your young guy pieces so he can thrive. You just can't throw him out there with trash and then wonder why he's trash.
Yeah, and I will give them this one. They did actually try to get a running back. They did bring in Miles Sanders after he probably had his best year with the Philadelphia Eagles, but he has been horrible since he got there. So
that's poor scouting by the Panthers, though. Why would you pay big money to a running back that's part of a running back by committee? The Eagles that year, when Miles Sanders had a big year, they were playing 3 different running backs. He wasn't the workhorse. It was 3 different guys that were at running back, and you paid the one guy who had the best season out of 3. Now you see what's happening. The biggest free agent signing in the last 3 years has been Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen was over the hill 5 years ago.
Yeah.
He's been the best free agent signing.
He's been the best.
Right. And that's no disrespect to Adam Thielen. He's had a solid NFL career, but his best days were over 5 years ago. When Stephon Diggs left Minnesota to go to Buffalo, Adam Thielen was already on his last leg in the league in terms of like production wise. And now that's your marquee free agent signing.
And that's your number 1 receiver. Yeah. So listen, they got to do better. I mean, listen, if y'all need me, I'm available. I don't just do this in Madden. I can build that franchise up and into something. All right. Just give me a call. Y'all know how to find me. Hit the email address. We'll make something happen. Shout out to Miguel. We're gonna talk about Puff towards the end because we got a special. I finally got Eric to come back up to New York for something. We got in the special. We're gonna talk about that a little bit later as well. Once we get past all this football stuff. But yeah, let me get back to this next question. Let me just throw that so y'all can have seen. Ray's question was Dalton's performance Sunday a bad look for Bryce Young? Again, yes and no. Yes, just because again he's going in with the same exact everything, But again, one thing I do love, what you said, Eric. You're talking about a veteran who's coming into a situation where they're playing a team that really doesn't have their act together either, because they don't even know what they want to do at the quarterback position right now. Their running game has been non-existent at best. You know what I mean? Like they're literally just living off of Devontae Adams, and if he can be Miracle Man. So I do feel like from that standpoint, but at the same time, I don't think so, because just because they won this game, we could see them go on a 6-7 straight losing streak after this game. I don't think this one win means that much.
I don't think it means that much. Again, the Raiders aren't a good team. They had the miracle comeback against the Ravens last week. If not, they would be 0-3 right now. And let's keep in mind, again, Andy Dalton, as a veteran, this is what he's paid to do. Come in and be ready to go. This is no different than Joe Flacco, who came in last year for the Browns and was ready to go. Veteran quarterbacks, that's why you pay them to be that backup. And if I need you for 4 or 5 weeks, you can hold down the fort for me.
Exactly. What's up? Shout out to Imani. We see you. Yeah, we're going to get to all the Puff comments. And, of course, I told y'all we got a little surprise for y'all. We're going to talk about that later.
Shout out to Imani. I heard Hoop All the Scoop was hitting me up as well. I don't know why the comments were not showing up. That's the first time that's happened on a Friday Night Live. I had even asked Trip, I didn't know why. But we're going to try to get that fixed moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Miguel says, Pierce blast Raiders for business decision Maiden loss. I mean, listen, and y'all know that's my guy's a former New York Giants Super Bowl champion with the New York Giants. So I love Antonio Pierce. I was happy for him to get the head coaching job. But you know how that goes. When it's going bad, it's going bad. You got to do what you got to do to get yourself. You still got to save that job because they ain't keeping the brothers too long. It ain't like Jeff Fisher. Where you could just be horrible for 15 years and still keep getting head coaching jobs. I don't.
Right. Jeff Fisher was holding on because he made the Super Bowl in 2000 and kept getting jobs in 2010, 2015.
Yeah.
No, I like what Antonio Pierce said because he's trying to set the tone there. But again, I think the team overall is bad. He was able to give him a jolt last year after they fired Josh McDaniels and the Raiders were able to win some games late in the season. But I don't think that was indicative of who they are as a team. They're a bad team. Point blank period. Gardner Minshew shouldn't be your starting quarterback. He's not a starting caliber quarterback in this league, and that's who you're rolling out as your starting quarterback. And like you said, the running game is a little lackluster. The whole line ain't that great. Yeah, they got those two. They got some good defensive linemen, but other than that, they kind of light everywhere else on defense. So it's a bad situation, and he's trying to kind of create a culture there as opposed to guys just being happy about what happened last week.
Yeah. So, shout out to my guy Antonio Pierce though. Miguel says Eagles rally to beat the Saints 15-12. Biggest Eagle headline right now: Saquon, Hurts, or Sirianni. Well, the biggest Eagles headline should be how horrible that secondary is. That really should be the biggest headline right there because they got lucky in this game. That secondary, I don't know, since they lost in the Super Bowl, that secondary every year seems like it's gotten worse and worse, but now they are horrible. Shout out to Saquon Barkley because he won that game for the Philadelphia Eagles. With what he did in that second half, the touchdowns and whatnot. But yeah, that should be the headline. How horrible the Eagles secondary is. I'm gonna tell you right now, if that secondary does not improve, the Eagles will not be winning a Super Bowl anytime soon.
The secondary was one of my major concerns going into the season for the Eagles, and I've said all along I think they're going to win the division just because the division isn't strong. Oh, by the way, I also said I don't think the Cowboys are making the playoffs this year, and I feel very good about that prediction after the first 3 weeks of the season. But the secondary is bad. Sirianni to me is the headline. Saquon is doing what he's supposed to do. Jalen Hurts has looked like himself at times. I know the receiving position they've been a little banged up. AJ Brown and now Devontae Smith get hurt yesterday. But Nick Sirianni, his relationship with Jalen Hurts and what they got going on there, and why this team has really struggled since the second half of last season. It really started with that San Francisco game last year. From that point on, you've seen this is what they look like. Their secondary gets torched damn near every week. They find themselves in a lot of these close games, a lot of questionable fourth down decisions by Nick Sirianni. And so to me, he's the headline, and he will be out of a job if this team doesn't figure it out very soon.
Yeah, they were fortunate that they were able to get this win because this would have been a bad look for them, especially after the way they lost the week before. This would have been a bad look. Okay. Ron Charles says, "How dangerous are the Steelers in the AFC?" To be honest with you, and again, shout out to the Steelers. I know they're 3-0 right now, but I don't think this team is that good. I'll be honest with you. I really don't. I think they're and you always say this, Eric. You can only play who's in front of you. They haven't played the best of competition these first 3 weeks, but they were able to win and they did what they have to do. But I don't see this as a dangerous team in the AFC. When I think about dangerous teams in the AFC, I think about the Kansas City Chiefs. I think about the Buffalo Bills. I think about the Baltimore Ravens. I think about the Cincinnati Bengals. I think they can be a dangerous team. But I don't think about the Pittsburgh Steelers, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they're dangerous enough yet to be a contender out of the AFC. Like they'll probably be a playoff team because they're off to such a high start. I don't know what the numbers are, but normally when you start 3-0, you normally make the playoffs. But at some point, their offense is going to have to crack 20 points. And that's their biggest struggle. And as you mentioned, when you face the better teams with better quarterback play and the offenses that at least can put up a little bit of points, even against a good defense like Pittsburgh, that's where they're going to struggle. The rules of the game are not geared towards the 2000 Ravens anymore, where you could just win games, 19-13 every week. You got to be able to score points at times, and they're going to need to score points. And we're going to see as they get into their divisional play against the Bengals and the Ravens, we'll learn more about them and we'll see. And I think they got Buffalo coming up on their schedule very soon too. So we'll learn more about the Steelers within the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, I'm gonna take this this next question. Shout out to Brandon Chambers. Then I'm gonna drop that Cortez video, and then when we get back from that, we're gonna get into some basketball talk. Brandon Chambers says, remember last week you both were sure that said it's a committee and New Orleans didn't want Wayne. Well, Super Bowl producer says Jay does the picking, and it still doesn't change my mind about who he picked. Whether it was committee or not, it still doesn't change my mind. It's still business. Y'all heard what Hope said. I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. It's about business, about money. It's about a dollar bill. When you got a job like the job that Jay-Z has, you're not just out here just putting your boys in the position. You're gonna make the best business decision, and the best business decision is to book the hottest rapper, not even just hottest rapper, the biggest and the hottest artist who is out right now this side of Taylor Swift, and that's Kendrick Lamar.
He said you both were for sure. I mean, because all the reports that we read in previous Super Bowls was that it was a committee. Every time any other Super Bowl has been selected, the halftime performer, I should say, the reports have always said this is who the Super Bowl committee has picked. So that's why, obviously, we worded it that way. But I agree. I don't change my opinion on Wayne not getting the nod, because I think a lot of people want him to get the nod just because he's from New Orleans and they're not looking at the business side of it. The major sponsors do not and are not going to align themselves with Lil Wayne. He doesn't look good for the brand. And as a hip hop fan, it's unfortunate because I love Wayne. I think we all do. But we're talking business. The Super Bowl is a business, and the Super Bowl and the marketing of the Super Bowl is surrounded about an image and what it looks like and what we're presenting to the people. And Lil Wayne is not the image they want to present. So shout out to Brandon, but I think we also said that last week as well, Trip, right? We didn't just say, oh, Wayne didn't get picked because Wayne wasn't good enough for the spot. We said in terms of business, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and the other thing is, and I wish I had the video, I could have posted it up for you, but the clip from the interview where Jay-Z specifically says a couple of years ago, don't be surprised if the big artist from that city where the Super Bowl is at does not perform at the Super Bowl. He literally said that. So, people forget these things. So it is what it is. But again, I still stand on it. Eric still stands on it. Kendrick Lamar was the right pick. It is what it is. With that being said,
unfortunately, I mean, listen, but let's be. I want to say this real quick too. I know we're gonna get to Cortez. Shout out to my brother Cortez. Even if he had picked Wayne, there would have been a debate from a lot of people that would have wondered, is that the right pick? Because Wayne hasn't really dropped any new music, and so it would have been more about Wayne going on stage playing his greatest hits as opposed to what he has right now. And as we talked about, Kendrick is the hottest artist right now. That's why I think they went that way. And if we want to say Jay solely picked it, okay, that's probably why Jay went that way as well.
And that's why Jay's worth a couple of billions too, because he makes the right business decisions. So, but I digress. Big shout out to Cortez. Sent me over this earlier today. It's featuring his son Nesto G's and MJ. Cortez that's our family. That's a brother to the program. His son has even been on the program with him before. He's going through a tough time right now, so I just want to send my love and support out to Cortez's son as well. Let him know you're gonna be good. You know what I'm saying? Love is love. But let me drop that video, and then when we come back, we're gonna get into this NBA talk.
I had to learn and live it. My soul forged in flame. I burnt all my bridges. This life shit is different. This life shit is crazy. Everything that I'm going through on
They say only God could judge a man. You reap what you sow. So when the judge bang the gavel, It weakened my soul to the bone. On a chair where the demons will roam. It hurts my heart 5 years. Your freedom is gone, now I'm cold. Nah, leave me alone, cause I don't wanna talk. Your first breath, first steps, I taught you how to walk. My only son, out of love, a product of my blood. I try to be everything my father never was. But now you grown, decisions, you on your own. Self-love as a father, them actions I don't condone. Got a mother, sister, brother, waiting for you at home. When your child does a bid, they don't do it alone. We family. When you hurt, my pain just the same. When you cry, I cry too. My tears just touch the page. Numbing to the pain, it's not a loss, it's a lesson. When you walking out them gates, we gon' run it up again.
You told me life was pain, I had to learn and live it. My soul forged in flames, I burned all my bridges. Through the trenches in the mud, I spilled all this blood. For the bros I got love, for the bros I got love. I got none for the judge, got none for the judge.
I lost so many bros in the system, but I took on my pain, better listen. We was just in the crib writing lyrics and playing that head cause we had us a vision. Moving dumb on a fuck for a victim, and I lost bro, give a fuck about no wisdom. Every year on the block like a candle and sip by myself thinking how I just miss them. Drum toss from the block from the shit that I seen, been through it, did. Was taking these drugs to escape the reality cause I ain't wanna face the life that I live. See my brother die, I ain't wanna cry, I'd rather slide or go through a bed. Was losing my mind, wasn't feeling fine, evil thoughts taking over my head. August 21st. Like that day I got cursed. You ever been cuffed inside of a court knowing you the reason your family hurt? I just be stuck in my head thinking damn, could it get any worse? Feel like my heart pumping out of my shirt. 125 with a 10, your honor, I'm not understanding these words. Nobody know what I've been through, was the first to address any issue. Life is pain, I had to learn it and live it in order to grow and change up my own mental. How could you have felt as a father? Never once put no one above me. Like enough to have a father that loves me. Knew all my foes and you never once judged me.
You told me life was pain, I had to learn and live it. My soul forged in flames, I burned all my bridges. Through the trenches in the mud, I spilled all this blood. For the bros I got love, for the bros I got love. I got none for the judge, got none for the judge, enough for the judge. Scars left stains.
Yeah, so that was Cortez Payne featuring MJ and his son Nesto G's. Big shout out to the family Cortez. And big shout out to all you guys, man. The supporters, keep them comments coming in. Shout out to Pooh. I see you in the building, dropping them comments. Keep them coming. Shout out to Brandon Chambers as well. We love everybody, man. We appreciate you dropping them comments to us, man. We love it. And Hoop Baller Scoop. You know what? Let me go to Hoop Baller Scoop's comment. We're gonna go back. Shout out to my guy Hoop Baller Scoop because he is always on the check-in, making sure we doing what we're supposed to do. D Rose was waived by Memphis. Is it time for him to hang it up? I'm not gonna say it's time for him to hang it up. Obviously, we know he's not MVP Derrick Rose jumping out the gym. We know he hasn't been that for some time now. But I think I think for him, let him go out on his terms. I think he still has something left to give to the game. So I'm not mad at him, for trying to stick around the league. If he can, if he gets picked up on the roster, then yeah, let him rock out.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's time for him to hang it up, because as you mentioned, he still has something to contribute. I just hope that he lands in the right spot where he can be that veteran presence, and when he's needed, he can show up. I don't want to see him hanging on to a team that has no shot of competing. I would like to see him on a team that at least has a chance to compete and give him some opportunity, to play deep into the playoffs as opposed to just going through the motions with a bottom feeder.
Yeah. And shout out to, while we're talking NBA, shout out to Joel Embiid. He just got that $192 million extension. I think it was 3 years, $192 million. Can't be mad at that. We always for the brothers getting to the check, so it is what it is. All right, let me come back up here because I know we got a couple of comments. Okay, here we go. Hoop Baller Scoop says Caitlin Clark won Rookie of the Year. Clark had a great second half of the season. How would you describe Clark's rookie season? I would say solid, filled with ups and downs. She did some great things. She improved during the season, which I think is the most important thing. Is that from that first game when she had them 10 turnovers, and we was like, "Yo, hold on, what's going on here?" To what she's been able to accomplish this season, and where she is now, she has definitely leveled up. I think she's getting adjusted to the WNBA game. Now she's gonna have to get adjusted to the WNBA playoff game because she did not have a good showing in that playoff opener. But as far as regular season goes, as a rookie, she led the league in assists. You can't knock that. She's been one of the better 3-point shooters this season. And she took a team, that was down in the dumps this past season and led them to a playoff appearance. You can't be mad at her rookie year.
Her rookie season, I thought it was a great rookie season. It was impactful, if I had to use one word to describe it. She got better as the season went on. We knew what the business side would look like for Caitlin Clark, but the fact that her numbers got better as the season went on, she adjusted to the physicality of the game. And like you said, she took the team that had the number 1 overall pick to a 6th seed in a playoff berth. It's a great season for them and for the league as a whole. Yeah, she's got to adjust. And a lot of rookies have struggled in their first playoff game. That's no different, whether it's men or women's game. And she'll adjust to that as well. I know there was a question up there about, how would they fare against the Connecticut Sun? Listen, Connecticut Sun are a good team. They're the 3rd overall team in the league. I think one of the only 3 teams that had 20-plus wins, right? So they were a very good team this year. This is a tough matchup. We knew the Fever would be an underdog against anybody they played. So not only Caitlin Clark, but the team as a whole is going to have to kind of play over their head to be the team as good as the Sun.
Yeah. And again, I mean, when we talk about playoff time, now every team you're playing is the best of the best. There ain't no when you get one night, you might get one of the weaker teams. Mm-hmm. No, everybody you're playing right now is top notch. So,
right.
Shout out to Tyson. Tyson says Caitlin Clark struggles in her playoff debut. They put the 6'4" Bono on her. Do Fever have a chance versus the Sun? No, but I didn't think they had a chance against any of the top 4 teams going into this thing. So that's not, really saying too much. Again, that's like I said, this is the playoffs. This is the elite of the elite. This is not you just playing every other team. This is now you're playing against the best talent that you are going to see in the WNBA uniform. And although they were able to make the playoffs, they were a lower seed, but they're not ready for prime time. I don't think they would have beat the Liberty. I don't think they would have beat the Aces. Yeah. I don't think they would beat the Lynx. I don't think they would beat Connecticut. Any of these top teams. I didn't see them coming in here and getting this first round knockout just because Caitlin Clark is on the court. She's one person, and these are teams full of seasoned veterans that play at the highest level.
Yeah, these are, again, the top 3 teams are established title contenders. What Caitlin Clark is doing is really no different than what any other young phenom does in their first playoff appearance. They're kind of dragging a team with them. We saw it early on in MJ's career. We saw it early on in LeBron's career. When Wemby gets to that point, we're going to see it with Wemby as well, where you're the best team and you're kind of dragging your teammates with you, but you're not ready for the upper echelon teams. So the same thing with Caitlin Clark. She's going to struggle. There's a defense that's going to be catered to her, and it's going to force her other teammates to have to carry her now. And if they're not ready to do that, then it's going to be a quick series.
Yeah. And again, congratulations to her on
absolutely.
All right. Kyrie Thompson says Miss Asia Wilson wins MVP unanimous. First, and Cynthia Cooper was unanimous in 97. Wilson has been top player since I'd say 2021. Took it from Stewie. Stewie was the MVP last year, but yes, I think it's clear that Asia Wilson is the best player in the WNBA right now. First of all, congratulations to Asia Wilson. She deserved the MVP this season, hands down, no debate, and it wasn't even close. She should be the unanimous MVP of the WNBA. So congratulations to her. But yeah, she is the best player in basketball. It just is what it is.
Trip is a very simple answer to this. It's, yeah. That's my response to it. Yeah, she is.
She's the best player in basketball.
She's the best player in the WNBA. We've highlighted her multiple times. And you and I are fans of Asia Wilson. We said she's the MVP and she's the best player in the league. And she's now trying to reach her MJ status, three straight championships. So, kudos to her. It's well deserved.
And if anybody can do it, it's the Aces.
Yeah, and you know what I like though? WNBA, they don't drag out this award ceremony the way the NBA does. The regular season's over. Let's get to it, because the NBA and every major sport always says, "Oh, the playoffs have no impact on the award," but yet we don't hear about the award until we're halfway through the playoffs. If it has no impact, announce it right at the end of the regular season, right then and there. That's it.
Basically. Shout out to the Bills right now. They got my ticket looking real good. James Cook and Kincaid both scored already, so I'm looking good on that ticket. But that's neither here nor there. Shout out to
that's
the lady.
Most important thing, Trip. With that ticket looking like.
Exactly. It's Asia Wilson's 7th season overall. So she's been around a little minute. She just won her 3rd MVP and going for her 3rd title. So can she challenge Cynthia Cooper, Diana Taurasi, Candace Parker, or Maya Moore as the WNBA GOAT? Them are the names many call the GOAT. I think right now she's etching her name on the Mount Rushmore with the accomplishments. If she keeps this up, yeah, she's on pace to surpass these women because she's so young in her career. And then I'm saying this respectfully because these are all legends. These are all GOATs or GOATs. Shout out to Clarissa Shields. But yeah, she definitely she's doing what Patrick Mahomes is doing right now in the NFL. She's doing in the WNBA, and we need to take notice. We need to pay homage to that and give her flowers.
Yeah, I think she absolutely has a chance to have her name amongst the GOATs and possibly even be the GOAT. The one factor in women's sports that we never have to debate in men's sports, and this what makes it so tricky, is are there things outside of the game that she wants to pursue? Because in the men's game, we never talk about that because it's just assumed that no matter what else the men do, they can keep playing. With the women, we know the life and the way they want to live and what they have carved out for their future may not incorporate a sport. This may not be what she wants to do for the next, 10 years. She makes content with what she's done already through 7 years and call it a career very soon. I'm not saying she will. I'm just saying that's one of the challenges in the women's sport compared to the men's sport. But overall, on the trajectory she's on right now, yeah, she has an absolute opportunity to be amongst the GOATs.
Yeah, let me go to Pooh. Shout out to Pooh. Trip, remember Cynthia Cooper won 4 straight titles and 4 finals MVPs, and she came in at 34 years old. Yeah, listen, again, that's why I said let's not get confused. These are all legendary women that you're talking about here. But we do have to acknowledge what Asia Wilson is doing right now. And again, when you talk about Cynthia Cooper coming in at 34, Asia Wilson's going to have a lot more time to build onto her resume because she's so young right now. So by the end of her career, yeah, we could be not even the end of her career, excuse me. Realistically, especially if they go in this year and win the finals again, get the 3rd straight, she gets the finals MVP again, she's definitely on course to surpass all of those great women that have come before her.
With the fact that she's already accomplished so much this early on, there's a lot of runway left. She can, again, depending on what she has mapped out for her journey in life, if she decides she's going to commit another 10 years to the WNBA, why can't she get 4 finals MVPs or more? Why can't she win more than 4 titles? Now, 4 straight is remarkable. That's a tough feat. But ultimately, Asia Wilson could pass all of those numbers just because of she entered the league in comparison to Cynthia.
Yeah, and she also just broke the record too for points in the season, so we can add that feather into the hat as well. Cracking that 1,000-point total on the season. Let me go to Will. So what Cynthia Cooper did in the 90s is like Bill Russell. Listen, Bill Russell is another legend in his own right as well. But I will say this. Bill Russell didn't come in. He also came into the league younger as well. Coming into the league at 34 and accomplishing what Cynthia Cooper was able to accomplish is nothing short of remarkable. So we still, give her flowers, and we do. It's not like this is not to take away from any of these other legends, because these are all legends. But when we're talking about what you're able to accomplish in the time that you're playing your respective sport, she's already accomplished enough to where if she stopped playing after this season, she's a first ballot Hall of Famer. No debating, right? So now when you add on to the fact that she's so young, you're talking about 7 years into the career, and she's already accomplished this. And if she wants, she got another 7 years to go, if not even, you know what I mean, if not more.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest difference. Is Asia's gonna have more time if she chooses to. She'll have the opportunity to put up gaudier numbers, and when it's all said and done, like I said, her numbers will be able to surpass anything that Cynthia Cooper's ever done. That's not to take away from her, but that's just the facts. You know, you come into the WNBA because of when it was created, just didn't benefit Cynthia Cooper the same way it's going to benefit Asia Wilson.
Yeah, Will says great accomplishments, but competition was questionable. I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. The league was smaller, and there was still that period of time where they were trying to figure out the direction of the league, because there was still a lot of women choosing to play overseas because there was more money overseas.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
The league, I think I wouldn't say that the competition was questionable. Again, it was the league was still figuring itself out.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't want to do that. We ain't gonna disrespect the ladies now. Shout out to Mickey Made It. Salute to you as well, my brother. All right, let's go back up to the top because I know I got a couple more questions that we gotta get to. Okay. Kyrie Thompson says Kwame Brown has been in the news of late. So he was chopping it up at work about we was chopping up at work about Kwame. He had a 12 to 13 year NBA career. How do people call him a bust? So he had to have 2 or 3 contracts, right? Okay, so one of the more common phrases that I've seen in the NBA, right, is you can't teach height. So that's how somebody like that can continue to get contracts, because you can't teach 7 feet tall. That's first and foremost. He's called a bust because he was the number 1 overall pick in the draft, and he was horrible throughout the course of his NBA career. If you look at his resume, no All-Star appearances, no All-NBA appearances, no All-Defense appearances. Shall I continue? He wasn't Rookie of the Year. Didn't get an MVP, didn't get a Defensive Player of the Year. Did he even get the Sportsmanship Award? I don't know. The resume is pretty blank. You know what I'm saying? Respectfully, but it is what it is. I'm speaking facts. Y'all want to check my resume? You can check my resume. The numbers add up. But that resume there's nothing on that resume to even try to make the case to say he wasn't a bust just because he hung around in the league. He stayed healthy and he was 7 feet tall.
To start with the second part of that question, or the third part, the end anyway. So he had to have 2 or 3 contracts, right? That means absolutely nothing. That, to me, that has no impact on the quality of his career, because we see every day in the NBA guys stick around way longer than their peak performance. But again, you might be a 7-footer like DeAndre Jordan, still getting checks. DeAndre Jordan ain't been an impactful player in the league for at least 6 years. We saw Timothy Mozgov hang around. We've seen a lot of guys just hang around and get a check way beyond their peak in the league. So the number of contracts, I don't think that has any bearing on it. In terms of a bust, it's because he was the number 1 pick in the draft. Had he been the number 3 pick in the draft, we're never talking about Kwame Brown as a bust, and we're never having these intense conversations about his career. And to give you comparison, right? What was the big man that played at Connecticut that Memphis had drafted? Hassim Thabit.
Thabit, yeah, there you go.
Right? He was like a high lottery pick. He wasn't number 1, but he was like a number 4 or 5 in the draft. He was a bad player in the NBA, but nobody ever really talked about him as a bust because he wasn't number 1. In comparison, Kwame Brown was number 1. So you get all the publicity, you get all the notoriety. Then when you look at the other players in that draft, that's what makes it about him being a bust. Right behind them, Tyson Chandler. You talk about accomplishments, Tyson Chandler, Defensive Player of the Year, NBA champion, multiple time All-Star, quality career. Paul Gasol was number 3. Paul Gasol is a Hall of Famer, right? Jason Richardson was number 5, right? Joe Johnson was number 10. Richard Jefferson was number 13. Zach Randolph was number 19. There was a lot of good players in that draft. Kwame didn't select himself, so it's not his fault. But when you go number 1, that's the pressure that comes with it. Let's keep it a buck, right? He was number 1 pick. He never lived up to the hype, as Trip said. He was a 7-footer that never imposed his will on the game. He was around Mike. He was around Kobe. He was around some other guys. And all those guys, their same impression of him was always the same. He was kind of a gentle giant. He wasn't made out for this career path. So did he do well for himself personally and family? Yes, absolutely. But in terms of an NBA career, it is a bust. There's no other way to put it. We're talking NBA career. We're not talking about his personal life. We're not talking about who he is as a man, as a father, as I don't know if he's married, but in his personal life as a man, we're not talking about that. We're talking only about his career. As a career, it's a bust.
Yeah. Let me throw Pool's comment up here. Kwame Brown had a career anyone would want. He made the NBA trip. He wasn't horrible, just not a great, solid role player. First of all,
that's a crazy statement.
As maybe me, who is not an NBA player, would want that career because I could use the millions of dollars they made throughout the course of his career. But as an NBA player, I don't think LeBron James has ever once woke up and said, "Man, I'd love to have Kwame Brown's career." I don't think Kobe ever woke up and said, "Man, that Kwame Brown, I want to be just like him." I don't think any upper echelon, any top NBA player, any all-star level player, any 6th man of the year player, I don't think any of those guys would say, "Hey, I would love to have Kwame Brown's career."
Never. Now, I think you're confusing wanting his financial accomplishments. That's different. If you're saying, hey, anybody would want to make the money that Kwame made, yeah, of course. Anybody who wakes up every day to go to work wish they could look in their bank account and saw what Kwame saw in his bank account. But in terms of a career, no. Nobody, no young man or woman who's ever played sports has, when they were shooting out on their courts in their neighborhood or in their backyard, said, you know what I want to be? I want to be the number 1 pick that Michael Jordan screams at every day. I want to be the guy that they make fun of every day and have a blooper reel about my career. Nobody has ever wanted that career. Did you want his career earnings? Yes, but those are two separate things. To say he wasn't horrible, just not a great, solid role player. What the hell does that mean, Pooh? Not a great, solid role player. That means you was bad. If you couldn't even be a solid role player, that means you're a bad player.
Yeah, I don't know about that. There's a lot of guys who I'd take their careers before I'd even think about Kwame Brown's career. I'm sorry.
I would love that question to be posed to anybody who's played at a high level. I never played at a high level, so I don't confuse this as I'm saying this about myself. Yeah. But I would love any athlete who's played at a high level asking, yo, would you die for like Kwame Brown's career? Hell no, because that ain't what I work hard for, to have that type of career. So I wouldn't want his career. Would you want his money? Yeah, of course. We all want the money. We all trying to get to the money.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I definitely would not. Like if you gave me the choice, like pick any 5 NBA players, and you put in
25 NBA players.
Right? No, if I'm gonna want somebody's career, it's gonna be somebody that actually accomplished something in the league. So yeah, I don't want Kwame Brown's career. Bowler Scoop says, didn't Kwame Brown average 20 and 10 in the playoffs versus the Suns for the Lakers?
Now, Hoop Bowler Scoop, come on, Hoop. You too knowledgeable for this.
He's never averaged more than 13 points.
No, he's saying in a playoff series. But Hoop Bowler Scoop, you're way too knowledgeable for this statement. Even if he did average that, didn't Jerome James have a great playoff series one time in his life that led to the Knicks overpaying him like $80 million? It ain't saying much to have one great series in your life.
What's my man? Novak.
Scott Novak.
Scott's got no way.
Remember, what's the dude? What's the shooter from Miami that got hot that year in the playoffs?
Oh, Duncan Robinson.
Didn't Duncan Robinson have a great series against Boston one year? Like, that ain't saying much. I mean, yeah, he had a good series. That does not make
his career over Kwame Brown.
Yeah, that doesn't make it a solid career, because Jerome James had a great playoff series one year for the Sonics, and it led to the Knicks overpaying him that one summer. It doesn't mean you had a great career.
Listen, and Pooh, she says, I mean, he was a solid role player, so he never had any good seasons. Well, I'll tell you this right now: the most points that he's ever averaged in a season is 10.9 points. So I would say no. He has not had a good season. To be a 7-footer, he's never had even an 8 rebound per game season. I'm gonna say that's it. I'm gonna hit him with the Nano on that one. So yeah, no, I don't. He just hasn't. I'm sorry. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And listen, again, I commend you for staying in the league as long as you did. But no, sorry. Shout out to Gary Blankenship. He says, I have no idea who Kwame Brown is, but that's because I'm probably a youngling. Listen, you ain't missing nothing, bro. It's not like, oh, you didn't know, you know what I'm saying, that John Havlicek was nice. You know what I mean? Or Nate Sweetwater. It's not like that. This is somebody who you probably wouldn't have known about, whether if he was in the NBA now, you wouldn't know about Kwame Brown.
Again, nothing to brag about. His call to fame was that he was the number 1 pick in the draft. That's really what his call to fame is.
Says, no, he had a great series versus the Suns, and I'm not crying at him.
I'm just saying, no. I'm just saying, hoop ball to school, because his comment was, he had a good series against the Suns. Yeah, I mean, a lot of players. Shout out to Will Gordon, because that's a great comment too, right? Like he said, T.J. Warren balled out in the bubble for Indiana. Like, that's what happens sometimes. A guy might have a good playoff series. That doesn't mean that his career was good. Yeah. It doesn't mean his career was great or anything. And again, the statements of a bust are purely about his career. This is not attacks on who he is as a man. This is just, in terms of his career, it was a bust. You were the number 1 overall pick. You somehow played with Mike and Kobe and never capitalized on any of that. You played with 2 of the greatest players of all time, never capitalized on any of that.
I think Kwame has come up. He had some comments. What was the comments he said about LeBron? Somebody type in the comments, because I didn't
listen. He probably said some outlandish ish about LeBron, because Kwame never. Again, we talk about not capitalizing on your opportunity. When Kwame Brown was hot in the news circuit a couple years ago, right? He tried to go the Wendy Williams route. He didn't capitalize on it. He just created beefs with all these media personalities, and he was recording a bunch of videos from his car, and he never capitalized on it. And so now that that's died out, now he's probably making more statements about other people, trying to see if he can kind of revive what he had at that moment. Yeah.
We'll go ahead and say, yep, TJ Warren balled out in the bubble for Indiana. Exactly. And Gary Blanket says, oh, TJ Warren was there.
He was.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So, oh my goodness. But yeah, no, Kwame Brown is a bust. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. But it just is what it is, man. We got to call a spade a spade.
That's a fact.
Like, so listen, at the end of the day, we got about 8 TV awards for Real Fans, Real Talk. So our resume is different. So we, when we say these things, it's not like we coming from a place where we don't have them type of accomplishments on our resume. It just is what it is. Tyson says that bubble was a mess, not real to me. Oh man. I remember how hyped Cavs fans were for Anthony Bennett, and that dream died. Another bust. There you go. Okay, shoot. Then he didn't even make the Canadian team or nothing either. So it got real bad.
Canadian team. They want nothing to do with Anthony.
Says, meanwhile, the Bengals just marched on Washington.
I got that game on too. It's gonna get super ugly.
Lakers won the bubble, and since they got out, have won nothing. Oh man, they did make it back to the playoffs twice since then, and they made it to the conference finals one year. So I don't know about one nothing. And that first year, Anthony Davis got injured in that first round series was Phoenix. So we don't know what
I mean,
happens if he remains healthy.
yeah, the Lakers haven't won anything. They were geared up to win that year. Keep in mind the bubble was also the bubble correlated obviously with COVID, but also the loss of Kobe earlier that year. So the Lakers were going to be playing with a little bit of more extra motivation. But to play devil's advocate, if we're going to say the Lakers won nothing, I mean, a lot of teams have won nothing
Exactly. So
because the Miami Heat were in the finals that year. They haven't won anything.
oh, they did, and they did go back. They just lost again. Though, so
Yeah, I
that
mean, we could play devil's advocate. I mean, but I do agree with you, Tyson. The bubble was all over the place. I wasn't a big fan of how the bubble was executed or played out.
like so here's my thing, right? So when people disrespect the bubble, well, guess what? Then why didn't somebody else win it? If it was that easy, that bad, whatever, just don't count. Then why didn't somebody else win it? Because I know you're not telling me every team said, "Oh, let's just let LeBron get it so he can get his fourth ring." I know
Well,
that. I know
that's not my debate.
yeah, I'm not saying you. I'm just saying in general when we talk, because I get tired of a lot of people talking about the bubble. Oh, it's not this, it's not that. Well, then why didn't somebody else win it? Anybody could have won it, right?
Oh
You mean
yeah,
some,
anybody could have won it.
you know what I mean? Like, so y'all sat back and had a unilateral decision and said, man, this ain't nothing. We just gonna let the Lakers have it. No,
Nah, I don't. Nah, of course not.
guarantee you, every team that was in that bubble would love to sit up in here and say they won a championship.
Yeah, I don't think that was ever the conversation. Or we just gonna let LeBron win it. That wasn't the conversation. To me, I say it was a mess because there was multiple start and stops. Because remember, there was a point during the bubble where players didn't even know if they want to keep playing as well. I can't remember the young man's name, but the situation that took place in Milwaukee.
Yeah,
during the bubble, right? Where players even thought about protesting inside the bubble at that point and weren't sure what they were going to do. There were a lot of players who've come out and said since then that they didn't want to be in the bubble. There were a lot of players who said that the way the bubble was set up, they were misinformed about how the structure was going to be because there was even coaches who complained who said the NBA had told them we were going to be able to bring our family. Then when we get to the bubble, we find out we can't bring our family until we get to at least the conference finals.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there was a lot of misinformation. So that's why I say it was a mess because you had all these different moving parts, and the Lakers found a way to do it. That's just what it comes down to. But I also think that it was altered play because you had some guys weren't really invested in even being there. Some guys already felt like, yo, I'm ready to get up out of here. I don't want to be here anymore. And so there wasn't that. I don't think there was the commitment to winning the same way. Maybe the Lakers had it, but a lot of other teams didn't.
Tyson says life was life and this during COVID. So credit to LeBron and Lakers for wanting to stay, but it's also been almost 5 years now. Yeah, but I could understand your point if it's been 5 years and they hadn't made it back to the playoffs since the bubble. But the fact is, they made it back to the playoffs the following season. They made it to the conference finals a couple of years after that. They made it back to the playoffs this season. So they've been accomplishing things. This teams that hasn't done anywhere close to what the Lakers have accomplished since they won the championship.
I see what path we're going down, Trip. Can we move on?
Yeah, you know what? Let me go.
I see the path. I see the path we're going down.
Yeah, we're gonna keep going with this. Let me go back because we got two more comments. I know y'all want to get to this Puffy talk, so let me go to. We got to talk about my main man Shador. Let me just find the comment so I can pull that up on the screen. Oh, here we go. Shout out to Tyson. Tyson says, talk about Colorado's win over the weekend. One thing, whether you like them or not, everyone is watching. They absolutely are. Shout out to my Giants. They got the win this week, but we still supposed to be tanking for Shador. We need that type of swag, in New York. What they did, you gotta love what these guys are doing. Let's call a spade a spade. They don't have the best offensive line. They might not even have a good offensive line. But they find ways to win games. Travis Hunter and Eric, you've said this. May just be the best player in college football. And if you don't think he's the best, I don't think you can tell me 3 players that are better than him in college football. And then what Shador has been able to do One thing about those guys is they have fight in them. They do not give up the fight. And we saw that in this past game. Shador taking punishment to move the football down the field to not only tie the game up, but to get that game, to win the game in overtime. And then Travis Hunter, for everything that he just did it all during that game. But then not only to do it all, but then to come back and be the guy that stops, the other team from making that score to tie the game up, and this game continues. You gotta tip their hat to them, man.
Yeah, without a doubt, Travis Hunter is the best player in college football, and he's the most impactful player. There's nobody else that is altering the game the way that Travis Hunter is. So I don't even think there's a debate. I don't know if there's anybody else you could even mention, because again, you're talking about a guy who's catching 7 passes a game for over 100 yards and being the focal point of his offense while playing every defensive snap, being the best cornerback on the field, and then when it's winning time, he creates the fumble that wins the game. For the Colorado Buffaloes, this was their marquee win. This was their defining moment under Coach Prime. Coming off the emotional win over Colorado State last week, if they had blown this game, everybody would have been on their ass. Trip. Everybody would have been reposting the clips from last week when Shador was talking trash as a quarterback of Colorado State. So this was their moment, and they had to come back. They had to come back multiple times in this game because they was down 2 scores at halftime of this game. Then they have to then late in the game, they got to score again to tie the game. So this was their defining moment for Coach Prime. Like you said, the O-line is still bad. The running game ain't that great. They got some good receivers. They got a good quarterback. The defensive line is suspect, though. They've been better against the run the last 2 weeks. Yeah. But without a doubt, this was their defining moment. And if they were going to be a bowl team this year, I'm not even talking playoff, but if they just wanted to be a bowl team, they had to be able to beat Baylor. Baylor is a quality opponent. You had to win that game within your conference. Winning that game means a lot for them, man.
Exactly. Gary Blankenship says, can we talk about that Hail Mary touchdown was also in the pouring rain? Like it was storming there, and he made that throw, and he took a hit as well. Yeah, man. I mean, listen, hats off, man. You gotta love it. You gotta love what these guys have been accomplishing.
Yeah, the throw is phenomenal because Shador literally, I mean, it's Hail Mary, of course, but he's got to roll out left and then square his shoulders to make that throw. And like you said, he's doing it in the rain, so anything can happen. You could lose your plant foot. You know what I'm saying? That ball might just, get lost in the rain out there, but he makes the throw to win. And shout out to Will Gordon, because Will and I, we were texting. I said the throw before that was amazing and would have given him a chance to score, and the receiver drops it. So Shador made the plays that he needed to make in that game. And I think every time I watch Shador, he confirms to me that he should be the number 1 quarterback taken. I just believe he should be the number 1 guy. I know there'll be a lot made for the Georgia quarterback. I know Cam Ward out of Miami is making a lot of noise right now. But Shador, to me, is the most pro-ready quarterback, and he keeps showing it in spite of a terrible offensive line, in spite of the fact that they don't have a running game, in spite of the fact that every game they damn near got to win got to be a shootout. There's very few games that they've won that they've just won comfortably. They always come down to this type of moment. Even looking back at last year to start the season against TCU, Shador had to make throws late just for them to win that game. So Shador is without a doubt pro ready. Whether you think he's number 1 or not, I think he should be the first quarterback. Trip, I know you agree, but he's pro ready.
Absolutely. Let me see. Hold on, I seen someone else about Colorado. Okay, here we go. The fourth quarter of that Colorado game was phenomenal. Sanders and Hunter having electricity that I can't remember seeing amongst teammates on the college level. I would probably say maybe Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase in college. Even honestly, who had a really good tandem was Jaden Daniels and Malik Neighbors at LSU. They were a really good 1-2 punch. But yeah, but these guys are definitely up there. I would love for Colorado to have a better all-around team, because I really would like to see these guys and see what Shador does in a playoff tournament setting. See what Travis Hunter does. I love the win for them, big win. I do wish that, obviously Shiloh got hurt, so he's not gonna, be there on the defensive side of things for them. But you gotta love what they're doing, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. In a playoff setting, I just don't think the rest of the team is ready for that. The rest of the talent around them isn't really ready for that. I think Shador's going to do what he does. I think Travis will do what he does. but against some of the better teams, they don't match up right now. You know, it's a long season, and as Coach Prime and his coaching staff keeps working with these guys, maybe they get them to that point. But right now, they're scrapping just to be a bowl eligible team, which means they gotta win 6 games. You know, so if they can at least get to 6 games, they're bowl eligible. If they can get to 8 or 9 wins, maybe they might be playoff eligible. But baby steps, they got to be bowl eligible first.
Yeah. Yeah, they got to do that first. We gonna talk about Anthony Joshua really quick. That the knockout heard around the world, and then we're gonna start the Puffy conversation. Well, you see the streets is talking. They want you to cam up and join us for the Puffy conversation. So if you want, you know, you always welcome, brother, to come to come and join us. We would love to have you for the Puffy discussion. As you can see, Imani wants you to pull up, and I seen Ron. He just sent the word too. They want you. The streets is calling for you, brother. They need you. Hold on, let me go to this last comment from Gary, and then we're gonna talk about Anthony Joshua. Plus, they played in the quarter before, and Sanders ducked out of a sack in his freshman receiver. But yes, a hell of a play that kept himself off the ground for the touchdown. Yeah, give these guys their flowers, man. They out here doing what they got to do, getting a couple of big wins back to back. I watch a lot of college football. I usually got 3 to 4 games running and keeping up to date on it. Yeah, you got to love it, man. And then you know it's Dion. Like I really want Dion to do well. I don't care if they don't win a national championship this year, but I really want Dion to get those guys to a bowl game and get a bowl game victory. If they can do that, you know, I think we good.
Shout out. I wanted while you do that, Trip.
Yeah.
Shout out to DeMar Hamlin. He just got an interception in the Jaguar game. Obviously, everybody knows his story from last year. So shout out to him. It was his first career interception. What an amazing comeback story. And Trip, remember when everybody was saying that was a DeMar Hamlin clone, that it really wasn't him, that he died on the field, and they put a clone out for whatever purposes they felt. Well, I wonder what happened to all them people that felt that it was a clone, because I don't know if his clone knew how to play. I didn't know his clone knew how to play football as well. That's crazy to me. That DeMar could play at a high level and his clone.
Yeah, that's weird to me. Eric, I just sent the link. I just texted you the link, and you actually forward it over to Will so he can cam up and
You send it to me on email.
I text it. Yeah, just take
I see it. Will, I'm gonna send it to you right now.
Okay, bet. So, guys, we're gonna get Will up here while we're waiting on Will. Anthony Joshua, he looked really bad this weekend. I mean, Daniel Dubois beat the brakes off of that boy. I mean, neither one of us has ever been a Anthony Joshua fan. We kind of felt like he was ducking Deontay and Tyson Fury during that, that couple of years, that 3-4 years with Wilder, was still the champ. But he looked really bad in this fight. I did not see this coming. I was actually surprised that he got beat the way he did.
I mean, I was surprised that it went down the way it did, that he was dominated that way and he was knocked down several times before the knockout. But I think Anthony Joshua has been damaged goods for a little while. And it really started with the Ruiz fight. I think that was the first real blow to his ego. A fight that he was supposed to dominate. He knocked out Andy Ruiz early. It looked like it was going to be an early night, and then Ruiz comes back and knocks him out. And then from that point on, he's never really been the same. I know he got his revenge against Ruiz, and it wasn't a spectacular faction. He kind of just outboxed him and stood away from any type of brawl with him. But Usyk dominated him in their 2 fights. And now this loss, I think he's been damaged goods for quite some time. And it probably started with Andy Ruiz.
He definitely got a glass jaw. So
yeah, he has, like I said, he's never been the same. And I don't know. Maybe it started before Andy Ruiz, because he did have the crazy fight with Klitschko. And that fight was a brawl, and he got knocked down a couple of times. And maybe that's where the issues, like you said, with the jaw started. Because once you get knocked down as a fighter, a lot of times you're never the same guy. We saw it with Mike Tyson as well. I know people commented about Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, but we saw it with Mike Tyson we've seen it with a lot of the greats that that first time that you get knocked down and you realize that you're no longer invincible, it psychologically it does something to you. Deontay Wilder was the same way. Deontay Wilder was never the same after he got knocked down and then eventually knocked out. So those things change you as a fighter, and maybe he's just never going to be the same. Let's bring Will Gordon in. Let's do what the people came to see, man. They want to hear us have this conversation. Let's have this conversation. Let's not drag this out any longer.
Let me go back up. Let me go back up and start it with the comments. Okay, Miguel, this is the first one I see here. Miguel says Sean Puffy Combs was denied bail for the second time. Thoughts on all that ish that's coming out with the case? You know what? Will, kick it off.
Man, listen. Hey, first of all, what it do, baby? Good to see you guys on a Monday night.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to all the supporters and the listeners. What's good with y'all? Man, the Diddler. Listen.
The Diddler?
The Diddler, man. So my man, they won't let my man out of jail. Shout out to everybody that watched the show Friday. Shout out to Eric. Listen, the weekend has passed, and I'm still waiting on some more stuff to come out other than lube and dildos, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's my whole thing. Like, I know, like, I don't want to take it lightly if, people have really been victimized and there's been crimes committed and that there are really people that's, hurting from what took place, pause. But at the same time, I need more than what they're giving us. Like, shout out to the comment section. If y'all are seeing stuff that I haven't been seeing, all I'm seeing is my man's a freak. He might like a little banana in his tailpipe, but that's not illegal. Last time I checked, you know what I'm saying? So I just need more on the legal side of it. Like, what did old boy really do for real? Besides stay lubed up, he stayed moisturized. That's one thing we know he's guilty of, is staying very moisturized. But other than that, I just need more hard facts, pause. That you know what I'm saying? That tell me what really took place. You know what I'm saying?
Well, one of the things that we know he did do, which is, and here's the part where it gets tricky, is we know he beat Cassie really bad. We know that. Now that's not on this docket though. So I just want to think. So we do know he has done some things, right?
And that's the thing though, Trip. The video always carries more weight than the words. And that's why, like with the Cassie thing, he had to come out and make that bullshit apology. It's because we saw it. You know what I'm saying? If we didn't see it, we probably wouldn't even know about it.
Yeah. So now the other part to that is, so there's going to be a lot of technicalities according to the letter of the law, right? So when you're having a situation like, and I haven't done this. This is not the bad part, but I'm talking about just the flying girls out, right? Because I ain't flying nobody out yet. I'm trying to get somebody to fly me out. But that's neither here nor there.
Your name is Trip. Come on, stop lying. Where you get Trip from?
With the technicality,
you done flown a couple out before, Trip. It's in your name, dog.
I haven't flown nobody out yet. I'd like to keep mine local, keep the cost down. But again, so they're going to go they're going to go by the letter, but they're going to go by the letter of the law, right? So I fly a girl to New York from Miami. I'm in New York right now. If I fly a girl from New York to Miami and we have sex, consensual or not, they're saying that is still classified as sex trafficking. You know what I'm saying? Now, so, and then, the other thing is, so a lot of the things are like technicalities that they're gonna just throw on to make this thing look worse than what it is. I'm sure there's going to be a lot that we will see in the next couple of weeks. I spoke to Eric the other day. I got him to agree to come to New York so that we can sit down with.
Hold on, no. That's
Whoa,
not.
whoa.
No. Hold on, no. I don't. Let's don't.
Eric gets traffic.
I wanted to shock. No, I wanted to shock the people with the content we about to drop.
Oh, okay. So I ain't gonna.
Because when we release the content that we about to drop, then people will be like, wow. That's what I wanted to kind of give the shock value.
Okay. So, but they're gonna go by the letter of the law stuff with this case. But I and they're gonna try to paint Diddy as the worst of the worst of the worst, because that's what they have to do. Because you have to, in order to, because think about it, right? Once they put out the video of the Cassie with the Cassie tape, we saw a lot of people say, "Oh, hold on, wait a minute, I can't defend, I got to step back." So they're gonna make it seem as worse as possible in this situation. The bail, I mean, I guess not that I feel like he was gonna run. But I mean, when you have that kind of money, you're always going to be a flight risk. He's always in and out of the country. So I understand them not giving him bail. And I do think that they want to make an example out of him.
Yeah,
that part.
I mean, I'll start there. Them denying him bail is purely to make an example. He has no criminal history when it comes to these charges. So it's almost unprecedented to be denied bail when you're not, quote unquote, a repeat offender of these crimes. And there have been other lawyers. I'm no lawyer, but there's other lawyers who've come out and said the same thing, that it's very unique that he's been denied bail when he's never been convicted of or even charged of these type of crimes before. So there's that part. We're not going to do no victim shaming, because that's not what we're trying to do. And me and Will Gordon talked about this on Friday. We're not doing no victim shaming. We both agree that if that was a female in our family that was on that tape with Cass, in that position Cassie was in, Diddy would be permanently sitting down for the rest of his life. He would no longer be able to use his legs. You know what I'm saying? But in terms of what is in front of us, pause, and what they're presenting to us, I don't think, like you said, it's a lot of technicalities, and it's a lot of, making him out to be a monster when it may not be that. By the letter of the law, sex trafficking, as Trip just said, you meet a young lady somewhere, you fly out somewhere else, have sex, maybe you take it to a couple dinners. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like, oh, it's sex trafficking because you basically compensated her for coming with you to another city to have sex. Yeah. And if that's what we're using as by the letter of the law, then every entertainer falls under the guidelines of sex trafficking. Yep. Groupies have been a part of the music industry for decades, since the beginning of the time. Rock and roll artists been picking up chicks in one city and taking them across country on their tour bus and having sex with them in other cities. That's been going on forever. Rappers been doing it. Athletes been doing it. I'm gonna need a little bit more substance from the prosecution, because if as like I said on Friday, we've waited for months. They kicked in that door to multiple properties. We waited for months to find out what did they have on Puff.
They told you they have food.
Right. So again, Trip, think about that for a second, y'all. Like, y'all telling us y'all arrested him, and the key evidence y'all obtained from the C's is lube and baby oil and some tapes. Like that's to me, that's not enough substance. You're not giving us enough to say, all right, there was real crimes committed. Now, if you got witnesses who are willing to say he held me against my will and forced me to have sex, that's a different conversation. If you're telling me, yo, he threatened my life and made me go on the road to do some of these things, that's a different conversation. But if all that we've been presented so far is what the case is centered around, I don't think they have enough. And I think there's going to be a lot of technicalities. And if he has a good lawyer, his good lawyer is going to find the loopholes in that. His lawyer is going to find a way to fight off those charges. And I think the only charge that they're going to have like a real shot at is going to be the drug charges. Because depending on how much drugs they found at his house or on him, they can say, hey, he was distributing drugs to people. And that's what led to all these other things that were taking place. But it's very difficult, like I said, to say it's sex trafficking if a woman willingly goes with you state to state. Superhead wrote a whole book about that, about how she went state to state with different crews in the rap industry and slept with different people. By the letter of the law, is it sex trafficking? Yes. But again, was she being held against her will? Was there a gun to her head? Was her family locked in somebody's basement and she was forced to perform these sexual acts? Or was this a moment in time where she felt like this is what I want to do, and then maybe later on realized I don't want to live that life no more? So it's a lot of technicalities.
Come out and say anything that was unconsensual happened. That we have not seen. The only thing that we've actually seen with our own eyes that would be damning to Diddy is the Cassie video as of right now.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to Imani's comment. She says, "I saw Eric's How Friday, but I guess she couldn't get comments. But him and Will was commenting on the Puff case. I was confused. I don't know if they both felt they had nothing on Puff, but Eric, please explain." Well, you kind of just did, and I don't think the Feds telling all they have, right? Yeah, they're probably not.
No, of
giving all
course.
information
But
on it.
keep this in mind, Imani, too, right? Because this is one of the things I've been saying from jump. When they raided the Miami home, right? They raided the Miami home and the LA home. They met with Puff at the airport in Florida, had a discussion with him and his lawyer, and then let him get on his plane. If they had found enough in the seizure right then and there, they would have threw the cuffs on him.
Yeah.
You don't raid somebody's house, then have a conversation with that. That's like if, God forbid, the cops come to my crib, raid my crib, and then catch me at the airport, and then have a conversation with me. All right, Mr. Sanchez, enjoy the rest of your day. We'll be in touch. Nah, if you got enough evidence, you throwing the cuffs on me right now, and we out of here.
Yeah, because when you're talking about the extent and how they're making things appear to be, if you're talking about sex trafficking and all this other stuff, then
Yeah.
Now, because there are situations where the authorities will say, "All right, well, you have until January 30th to turn yourself in," right? So, but when you're talking about the extent of these the crimes that they're saying he's guilty of, yeah, there ain't no way you're supposed to be letting him even get a chance to leave this country.
Because if you're denying me bail now and saying I'm a flight risk now, why wasn't I a flight risk 2 months ago when you seized all the property from my crib?
Exactly.
Why wouldn't I have been a liability to run then when I knew you kicked in the door already on me?
Miguel says, "I'll be sure." What's his link to Puffy? I guess he had a stroke
Quincy.
a few years ago, and it's almost to allude to Puffy being involved. Heavy D and Andre Harrell were coming out with the book, then pass away. Yeah, again, and I put it in the comments, but Puff's raised I'll be sure son Quincy. So that's the connection there. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to speculate about the conspiracy theories of they were going to put a book and then they died. I'm not going to speculate on that because
No, if y'all telling me he had something to do with the death of Heavy D, then I gotta reevaluate things. Like,
yeah.
what? Where did this come out?
These become the wild conspiracy theories.
Yeah, that's why I said I'm not giving
now Puff has something to do with everybody dying.
Yeah, no, because I don't think. Imani says, "What was the cause of Kim Porter's death?" Well, I don't believe Puff had anything to do with Kim Porter's. Like, I don't want to just.
If I remember correctly, at the time, they didn't release the cause of death, and then they said later on it was complications from a pneumonia.
Yeah. So we
from
can't
what
just put
pneumonia?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Everything and just to tie everything to Puff. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like, so that I'm not just gonna do that.
I really need to know where Puff was when Betty White passed away. That's that questions I need answered.
That's gonna be next.
Because Betty White was timeless, we know. You know what I'm saying? Till she was saying the Puffy freak off, man.
If she was, then she might have let. No, stop. I'll be sure.
Yeah, God bless the dead. I don't mean to make fun of it.
And he weirdly had a stroke. Then Kim Porter have a book she was finishing. Yeah, see, I mean, it is what it is. Listen, I don't think Puff is responsible for everything that's ever went wrong in the black community. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to do that. Now,
why? But hold on. Why y'all associate somebody coming out with a book as if like they gotta die? The book gotta get you killed. Because they got a book coming out, they gotta die.
Ain't nobody read books no more anyway.
Yeah.
So what's the real threat?
Yeah, like I want to know, because for all these books that was coming out, like I want to know from you guys, like, which one of these books, if I'll Be Sure had not had a stroke, was y'all buying his book? Yes or no? Because if y'all wasn't buying his book, how y'all trying to tie this to Diddy now? Like, oh, he was writing a book and then he mysteriously had a stroke.
Yeah, I wasn't. buying the book no way. So it
Yo,
doesn't.
the fact that Albie Shore's name is even being brought. Albie Shore?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yo, I'm trying to think when last time when Albie Shore was Albie Shore, like that dude. I was like 8 years old, man. We talk about Albie Shore.
Yeah.
So,
I like
These are like the crazy connections in hip hop, right? Like, how the hell Albie Shore name still coming up?
yes,
We talking about Puff
we
Shop.
were talking about Albie Shore, Heavy D. Like,
Who's,
man, I don't
Shout out to Pooh. She said, "Do y'all think Puffy has let his kids down? This has probably affected. I'm without a doubt. I believe it affected their lives, and I do think he let his kids down. Because even without these charges, say that again, Trip.
They were in handcuffs while the raid was going on. You damn straight it's gonna affect their lives.
Yeah.
He let them down because even if, like I said, even if it wasn't for these charges, that tape of what he did to Cassie.
Yeah.
He got daughters, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And the way he was acting on that young lady and you know, the things he was doing, that's to me, that's a major letdown. But then these charges add on to it. Now you've ruined the family's reputation forever. His daughters, his sons, they all got to live with that for the rest of their life, no matter how this trial plays out.
Yep.
But then that circles back to the allegations against his against what he did to Kim. His kids already saw this. If that stuff is true,
right? I'm to a certain extent. I mean, we don't know because we've had, shout out to Gene. We've had Gene on where he said, "Yo, I've never seen Puff put his hands on nobody, but there was always speculation." Yeah. Because remember, abusers a lot of times don't show themselves in front of everybody.
Yeah,
they do that shit when they know there's nobody there to stop them. When they know that whoever they're abusing is defenseless. So he may not have done these things in front of the kids, but it probably was a lot of things going on within that house that they knew, like, yo, things ain't right here.
Yeah. Plus, Gene would have checked him if he had this since something like that go down in front of him. So I doubt he would have did anything like that in front of Gene anyway. But it is definitely he definitely let his kids down. Like I said, that video alone is, and which is it was very hard to watch that video and to see him stalk her like she was prey and then beat on her the way that he did. In general, whether or not you have daughters, just in general, we don't condone putting your hands on women like that. That it's not. There's nothing cool about it. You know what I mean? And then
regardless if you got a daughter, you got a mom.
Yeah,
we all got a mom.
Woman in your life that you should care about enough to So, but when you start doing all these drugs and the alcohol, and then you combine that with the power tripping and the stature that he has, he was out here wilding. But definitely when you see the sons and they're in handcuffs because of something of your doing, that's trauma that they're dealing with right now. Plus, there's a chance that they could lose their father. They've lost their mother. Well, the girls, I forget, not Justin, the Chris Combs. You know what I'm saying? They've already lost their mother. They may possibly lose their father. So, that's a lot to deal with. Let me start running through these questions so we can get ready to get up out of here. As I told y'all I was gonna get through all the questions. So we're gonna make these last couple of questions quick. Let me just scroll down. Where we okay, yeah. Tyson says he can't wait for the Puffy talk. We know that. Can we okay. Hold on 1 second.
I got one question real quick, Trip.
Go ahead.
I need a purchase date of this baby oil too. Because when was this pre-pandemic purchase? Was this post-pandemic? Because people was going crazy pandemic wise, they were stocking up.
Yeah, the thing, I've probably had the same bottle of baby oil in my house for about 5 years now. So that's where the confusion came in for me.
It do stretch out, right?
Yeah, one bottle of baby oil will last you for at least 5 to 10 years. So that's why I was
He just might keep a lot of ashy ass dudes around him, though. You know what I'm saying? We don't know the.
I mean,
we don't know
it's
the.
a lot of people in the crib. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of people in the house. So
I get it.
I also need to know the brand. Like, was it Johnson and? Because now I'm seeing so much wild stuff. Like he was setting up to buy Johnson and Johnson.
No, you
so
can't
it
buy
might have been.
You don't buy cheap Legos. It's gotta be Johnson and Johnson. But all right, that's neither here nor there.
I mean, that might be a conspiracy in itself, right? Like, yo, I'm a buy up all this baby oil to shoot the price of the stock up, and then I'm gonna sell the stock.
And if you got Puff money, though, my main thing is if you got Puff's money, you ain't going Johnson and Johnson, man. You going Astroglide, man. It's a much smoother finish. It's a much
deal. So if you got $1,000 of baby oil, you're supposed to have an NIL deal or something with the company. That don't make no sense. But no, Ron says, did y'all see the video of Puffy kept touching Mike Tyson's leg?
Yes.
Puffy filling up Justin Bieber like he was making sure he had no why. Yeah, we seen all them things. We seen them things. They've been
because Puff is off of Molly.
Yeah, Puff, especially that Mike Tyson joint. He was spacing like shit on that joint. He was
off of Molly.
He was on a cloud on that joint for real. Exactly. What was that on? Keenan? What show was that on?
Where Puff was on a Molly?
Was it Arsenio? When he was feeling on Mike Tyson's leg.
That was I don't remember who the host was, but yeah. I'm just gonna start posting these comments up. Y'all can read them because we got to get up out of here. Eric, while I'm posting these comments on the screen, just give me your final thought.
Man, as always, we appreciate the supporters, man. Appreciate you guys locking in with us. We got a special show coming up very soon. As Trip said, I didn't want to tease it too much. Pause. But when you see the footage, you guys are gonna really like what we're cooking up right now. Shout out to my brother Will Gordon. We will be back this Friday. And I'm looking forward again to continuing engaging with you guys. We had a great week on the picks last week. Hope you guys are locking in on Friday because it was a good money week, Trip. The tickets they was hitting this week.
Exactly. You know what? I'm just gonna take Ray Ray's question. Do y'all think Puffy is guilty of anything?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, I agree as well. Y'all laughing like the names I brought up has been talked about. Have y'all heard of any of these stories? Janetta Johnson says, and do men use baby oil? Oh, please, come on, Janetta. You just personal. You don't ask no grown what kind of to make himself feel good. You don't ask no man that kind of question. That's like asking a woman how old she is. Come on, man. Shout out to Janetta though. We appreciate you. Do y'all think Puffy like we sorry I jumped in late and that was Keenan show? Yes, thank you so much, Janetta. I can't speak for what that man likes. I've heard some things. I will say this. I know that Gene has told me he does purchase butt plugs and things of that nature. So, I can't say other than that. But Will, can you give us a final thought really quick? Did we lose Will? I think we just lost Will. But all right, so let me just say this, guys. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate y'all. Y'all get us to do overtime every week we on. Shout out to Ray Ray. He said we need to get Gene back on. Y'all stick around, man. We might surprise y'all. Make sure you guys
know when Gene. You never know when Gene might show up.
Exactly. Make sure you guys follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter at Real Fan Talk, Facebook.com/Real Fans Real Talk. Of course, subscribe to that YouTube channel, YouTube.com/For the Fans Productions. And if you're not in New York City on Thursday nights and you can't watch us from 8 to 9 p.m., do not worry. All you got to do is go to the website, realfansrealtalk.com, click the red button on the homepage, and you can watch from anywhere in the world. And make sure that you guys are subscribed to the Sanchez Show and the Real Fans Real Talk podcast, the two best podcasts out here, period, because I said so, and I stand on that. With that being said, for myself, Trip Young, for my co-host, my brother Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games, and salute, of course, what it do, baby, to Will Gordon. Thank you for rocking out with us for this last 15 minutes of the show, and thank you guys, man. Y'all stay tuned, stay locked in with us, because we ain't going nowhere, man. and we got a big surprise for you guys next week. So y'all gonna want to tune in. All right. Love, peace, and hair grease, man. We up out of here.